What's up everyone, 9th Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we're talking about Silvally. Now this Pokemon is pretty cool. It has a couple of different ways that you can use it, and it's kind of like the blank slate Pokemon. All of its stats are at 95. It's a normal type Pokemon that you can make into any type using a certain item, any of the memory discs of that color, or of that typing. So you can make it a nice type Pokemon with a nice memory disc, or, you know, any other type in the entire game. And that's pretty cool, allowing this Pokemon to have really good coverage against, you know, a lot of Pokemon. It has an attack called Multi-Attack that is just 120. It's normal type, but it changes to whatever disc type you're using, so you have a 120 physical attack base stab attack no matter what disc you're using, or if you're using no disc, it counts as a normal type. So it still does a lot of damage with that, and then also has a pretty solid move pool that allows it to be special attacking or physical attacking. We went with physical type for this build, but you can go either way. Its move pool really allows a lot of usage out of either, so that's cool. Honestly, our ability is mediocre. It lets us change our ability, so our typing. So the ability is really good if you use one of the discs, but if not, then you're kind of just playing a Pokemon without an ability, which is kind of bad, but at the same time is okay. This Pokemon has like some really cool things, and we'll talk about those here and more in a minute. But yeah, that's it for that overview. Let's go ahead and talk about the Pokemon itself. So, normal typing, giving us 1 immunity of Ghost and 1 weakness of Fighting, the most normal typing. There's a reason it's normal. It's pretty solid. We also have access to Crunch and something so that we can just destroy these Ghost Pokemon. That's more of a thing for singles, because in doubles, you know, you can just like explode, and that's pretty cool. But against like Ghost type Pokemon, you know, we don't hit anything. It would be really cool if this Pokemon had Scrappy. That would be really cool, but we don't have that, so yeah. Weakness Fighting is pretty bad. You know, there's things like Conkeldurr out there right now with Mach Punch and Drain Punch, and then even things like less played superpower on Tyranitar, you know, Scrafty, like a bunch of stuff. There's some good fighting out there. But yeah, talk about stats. Well, everything's at 95, which is actually very solid. It's pretty medium, a little above average on every single stat, which is very solid, giving us pretty good bulk at 95 HP, special defense and defense, and then also pretty good offense with all of them being 95, and speed 95, which hits a really solid speed tier, a pretty commonly fast one. There are some stuff that will be outspeeding us, and we'll talk about that more in the speed tier section, but overall, pretty blank slate of a Pokemon. So yeah, not bad. Let's go ahead and move on to the build itself. So as far as the build that we went, it's essentially just Choice Band Explosion is the main tactic of this build. It's very fast, it's very damaging. Explosion hits really, really hard, but you have to be very careful of Pokemon like Dragapult and Dusclops, which actually make a really good partner for this Pokemon, since you don't hit yourself with Explosion, which is cool. But, you know, you have to be careful of Protect and Ghost Pokemon turn 1. If you go for Explosion. But that's why we have other options, things like Parting Shot and just damaging attacks, that if your opponent's like, oh, I'll just Protect or double Protect or something, well, you can take that time to do something else, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so Ability Archaeus System is our only ability that we can use, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, it's good if you use any other kind of memory. Anyway, for our item, we're using Choice Band. This just gives us the best damage for Explosion or anything of the sort. Hitting 1.5 times damage, pretty good. Kind of locks us to not really wanting to Dynamax, since we don't get any value out of our ability or item if we Dynamax. And also Explosion just, you know, it's a strong max strike, definitely, but like, it's just not the Pokemon we're really planning on Dynamaxing. However, you can use it as a Dynamax Pokemon using things like Expert Belt, Life Orb, or even Normal Gem, just to make your normal type attacks much stronger. This Pokemon commonly uses things like Choice Scarf as well to just become very fast, and a fast Explosion is good, but I like a strong Explosion, so that's why we went with Band. You can also use any of the ability discs or any of the memory discs to change our typing with our ability into whatever you want, and then Multi-Attack becomes a really strong stab move for any typing. And that's another way you can play it. Anyway, for this one, our moves are going to be Explosion, Multi-Attack, Psychic Fangs, and Parting Shot. Now, you can change up Psychic Fangs, and in fact, you might want to. Multi-Attack a lot of the time will offer the same damage output as Psychic Fangs into something like a Conkeldurr. However, that's not the main thing that Psychic Fangs is for. However, it is good, you know, giving us that super effective spread against things like Conkeldurr that kind of scare us. But we also are able to break screens with that, which is really good against common things like Lapras and Grimmsnarl. Explosion just offers us really good attack, or a really good damage, with trading our Silvally for that very good damage output. You use things like Dusclops and Dragapult next to it so that you don't hurt your own Pokemon. We have multi-attack here, just being a really strong stab move that doesn't have to, kill us with Explosion. And then our last move is Parting Shot, which is just good. It gets us out of there. It's a good option with Choice Band since it is essentially U-turn for that changing, but instead of damaging, it just -1 attack and special defense to the target, which is really good in such a Dynamax focused format, because Pokemon, that Dynamax turn 1, -1 attack makes them not that strong. Unless they're weakness policy and they activate, they're still then +1 instead of +2, which is very different. So Parting Shot's pretty solid. You could also go with U-turn if you wanted to, but we went with Parting Shot. Anyway, some other moves that we can use here for physical is Crunch, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, Rock Slide. All of those are really good. Rock Slide is just good coverage. Iron Head makes a good max move as well as just good coverage as well. Shadow Claw and Crunch being able to really destroy those ghost type Pokemon. A little bit better in singles since your opponent may switch in a Pokemon that will be able to deal with Silvally, and a lot of the time that'll be a ghost type Pokemon since they won't be able to affect you on switch in, but you have Crunch and Shadow Claw as an option to be able to take those Pokemon down, or at least do very good damage if you can call their switch in, which is very good. We also have a couple of really good utility attacks, things like Icy Wind and Snarl being able to lower their special attack and speed, which are very strong moves in general, and with this Pokemon, very good. However, if you're going to go for a special type Pokemon for Silvally, you can use them, and even if not, it doesn't matter. Like, they're not damaging moves. They're not there to just deal a lot of damage. They're there for utility. As far as a couple of special attacking damaging moves go, we have Thunderbolt, Air Slash, Surf, Ice Beam, all really good options for max moves as well, especially Thunderbolt being able to keep you from going to sleep, and then also Air Slash, which is allowing us for good speed control. Very good in general. Surf being able to set the water as well, or the rain as well, which is a good option. As far as our stats go, our EV spread is pretty basic, just 252 into attack and 252 into speed. Like I said, it's pretty blank slate with everything just being 95, so you might as well just go in really hard on those ones that you really care about, the attack and speed. And since we're just going for a Choice Band, a fast Choice Band explosion, we just went 252 attack and 252 speed. The leftover 4 into HP, you can move it to defense, you can move it to special defense, it didn't really matter too much, because we're probably going to be explosioning, which is good. A couple of Pokemon that we can use that are synergetic, things like Dragapult, mostly just because it does a lot of damage. You can Dynamax it, and then Explosion won't hurt your own Dynamax Pokemon, as well as being able to then offer some speed control or damage control, which is really good. And then we also have Dusclops here. Since Silvally likes to be fast, it can reset Trick Room. It can also supplement your damage with Helping Hand. It can also even burn things to keep them down. You can get rid of all of the stat things with Haze, any stat changes, things like weakness policy, or whatever you may have. It just makes a really good partner, mostly because of that ghost typing for the explosion. Anyway, that's going to be it for our build and our sets here. Let's go ahead and move on to some speed tiers. So as far as our speed tiers go, we hit a pretty solid speed tier at 161 on the same tier as some commonly pretty fast Pokemon, Arcanine and Galarian Darmanitan. These Pokemon were going to be speed tiering or speed tying a lot, but Galarian Darmanitan will practically, like majority of the time, be scarfed, and Arcanine won't always have max speed, so we'll probably be outspeeding most Arcanine while underspeeding most Galarian Darmanitan. A couple of things that we do outspeed are Pokemon like Excadrill, Form Change Rotom, Duraludon, Gyarados, presumed that they are not Scarf. The only one that'll frequently be Scarf is Form Change Rotom, and it's not very frequently. Choice Scarf, probably like 2 to 3 out of 10 are going to be Choice Scarf, so you usually won't have to worry. A couple of Pokemon there that are really good that we outspeed are things like Duraludon and Gyarados that really, they do a lot of damage. Like, same with Excadrill, they all just do a lot of damage, so being able to just drop an explosion real quick is very good, and they're all commonly played as well. A couple of Pokemon that outspeed us, though, and these are barely outspeeding us, things like Mimikyu, Charizard, and Durant, Inteleon, Cinderace, Dragapult, all of those Pokemon will be outspeeding us, which is pretty bad because Dragapult is very common in the meta and able to take or put on very big damage and also -1 us with Max Wormwind turn 1. So we won't be able to be doing a lot of damage with Explosion. So So Dragapult is a little bit bad of a matchup just because it can -1 us before we do any damage. If they Intimidate with Incineroar or Arcanine and then also -1 us with Max Wormwind, our Explosion is doing very little damage, which is really unfortunate. So that's our speed tiers. Not bad. At 161, we're pretty good. Onto our damage calcs. So as far as damage calcs go, I have a bunch on Conkeldurr just because it's the biggest, like right off the bat threat. It just offers super effective spread, really, really good against us, and it's very, very powerful of a Pokemon, and it's good. So our Psychic Fangs from Silvally does give us a guaranteed 2 KO hitting 58 to 69%, which is very, very good. One important one that I didn't put down, but you should make note of, is that our Explosion at neutral, not -1 or anything, does hit a 75% chance to OHKO the Pokemon. So if they lead Conkeldurr, which is just not very frequent, but it could happen, then you'll be able to just knock it out. And a lot of the times it'll be Assault Vest, which means it won't have Protect, which is very good. Next we have Drain Punch from a Conkeldurr, hitting 43% chance to OHKO, hitting 91 to 108%, which is a lot of percent, but it does offer less than half percent to OHKO us, which is very good. However, we are also a good bit faster than it, so if it uses Drain Punch, then we're pretty solid. Next, we have Mach Punch into our Silvally. This one is priority, so it's hitting 49 to 59%, almost half guaranteed, but it does provide a 97% chance to 2-hit KO. If they Drain Punch first or just Mach Punch first and then next turn Mach Punch, they're going to kill us when we can only hit once. So up against a Conkeldurr, a lot of the time you're going to want to just Explosion anyway. And like I said, it's Assault Vest. If it's Assault Vest, then it won't have Protect, which is really, really good. Next we have our Silvally Explosion. So next we just have a bunch of Explosion calcs. Explosion into a very, very defensive Togekiss, hitting 79 to 93%, not giving us an OHKO. However, this is a really, really defensive Pokemon, so hitting an almost OHKO is really good against that Pokemon. Next, we have our Choice Band Intimidated, so we're -1 attack, into an Arcanine or Incineroar. They're both very similar calcs, but this is against a 220 HP Arcanine, which is just the most HP on an Arcanine in Pikalytics, or the most HP on the most played Arcanines. So we're hitting 79 to 93% after being intimidated. So if we bring this Pokemon in after the Intimidate, then we're definitely OHKOing, which is really good. But regardless, we're still hitting a guaranteed 2 KO with Citrus Berry Recovery against non-Arcanine after being intimidated once, which is really good. Next, we have one damage calc here that's not into a super defensive Pokemon and also not intimidated. We're hitting Choice Band with Choice Band Silvally Explosion into a Rotom Wash that's pretty defensive, 252 HP and 44 defense. Most will just be 252 HP and speed and special attack, not really defense. But we are hitting 110 to 130%, which is really good. It means they have to Dynamax turn 1 to live, or, you know, Protect or Switch, which is kind of the bane of Explosion. But if they switch, then it's okay, as long as it's not into a Dusclops or Dragapult or something like that, or Mimikyu or any of those Pokemon. Anyway, so pretty much what this is showing is Explosion does a lot of damage, but you have to really be careful of things like Intimidate and just really bulky Pokemon in general, and of course the Ghost-type Pokemon that just resist it, or are immune to it, rather. So that's going to be it for our damage calcs. Let's go ahead and talk about some single spotlight real quick. So as far as our single spotlight build, this is another build that you can use in singles as well, with Choice Band RKS system. So Choice Band, of course, here to just give us the most damage or the most speed as possible in singles, which is really good, giving us a really, really fast Explosion, a really fast U-turn, Crunch to be able to just destroy those ghost type Pokemon that think they're going to get us, and then multi-attack to just do a lot of damage with Stab without having to kill ourselves with Explosion. As far as our spread goes, we're just 252 into attack and 252 speed, and Jolly Nature, of course, as well, just being as fast as possible. We're also having that 4 left over into defense, but like I said, that can go into defense, special defense, or HP, since, well, it matters a little bit more, because we're not going to just Explosion right off the bat most of the time in this, like we are in VGC. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. In sum up, Silvally is pretty cool. It has a really strong Explosion. You can use it with Choice Band, Choice Scarf, or make it any ability, or make it any typing with its RKS system ability. The Pokemon's pretty cool, but it is pretty low tier and a little bit predictable. If your opponent if you click Explosion turn 1 and your opponent protects, has a Ghost type Pokemon, or switches into the Ghost type Pokemon, then it's kind of in a bad position. And Dusclops has really proven itself. Actually, the 2 currently most used Pokemon on Pikalytics is Dragapult, or the three are Dragapult, Togekiss, and Dusclops. Two of them are Ghost, and Togekiss is able to live if it's a defensive spread. Anyway, Dragapult and Dusclops give us a really hard time, and we're not able to OHKO the Togekiss, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, Silvally just doesn't have its time to shine right now with those Pokemon being so used, but it's still a really cool Pokemon to explore and can take a lot of really surprising OHKOs with Explosion. The first time it happened against me, I was like, wow, that was insane. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and join my Discord, follow me on Twitter, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.